And I just wonder what you have to say about that. I mean, here we are, it's August, and you're standing outside of Metroflex, and what is it today? Is it 100 degrees?
Yeah, it's spot on 100. It's usually August. It's usually like 105, 106. I just feel like this is like the Rocky IV gym where Rocky didn't have much equipment to train with, and Ivan Drago had the fancy equipment. Those are all the other gyms.
Right.
Hey everybody, welcome to It's Just Bodybuilding. I'm Big Ron Partlow, and of course I got Dusty Hanshaw and the producer Scott McNally. Remember, like, share, subscribe, comment, and
ring the bell.
He's always there for me. He's always,
even when he's not there.
Even when he's not there, he's there for me. Yes, I know. And you're in my dreams now at this point. Whoa. I have dreams where I'm dreaming about something, and then as something completely abstract is happening, I'll just hear in the background, ring the bell, ring the bell. It has nothing to do with what's going on. It's just like noise that comes through my subconscious.
I hang out in the background. I'm running in the background.
Running in the background like good software. Okay, remember, IamMutant.com. Go to IamMutant.com. Use Dusty20, Big Ron 20. Save yourself some money. Make us look like superstars. Keep us employed. Remember, you need to get your IsoSurge. You need to get your all-in. And everyone should be on the gear. Okay?
Speaking of gear, though, like, do you have any of this new gear, Scott?
Yeah.
Look at this new shirt. Look at this new shirt.
Scott's got to get the new shirt.
I'm not as cool as you guys. I'm not as cool as you guys.
It's got like a side angle on.
And the new hat.
I like that. I like that hat especially. I like that hat especially.
See the Mindfuck logo with the third eye.
Oh, yeah.
It's really cool. See, I'm showing off my shaved head. But you got the third eye.
I like that. I have that poster, the whole poster of that in my gym right now. The Mind FK. I'm going to say that to help.
Well, we're early in the show. It's got to be FK.
Yeah.
Mind FK. Okay.
Can't use
I don't know why we're the only people on YouTube that seem to not be able to swear. Everyone else seems to just get,
whatever they want. Whatever they want. Yeah.
I watch Tim Dillon. He says whatever he wants. Joe Rogan says whatever he wants. I don't know how he gets away with it.
Wait, who is he? How is he better than us?
Yeah.
Wait, more people watch, allegedly?
Allegedly.
Fake followers.
Fake numbers. Okay. What are we doing? What are we starting with? We got lots of fun little things we could talk about. But we're starting with, we got one of those number topics, Scott?
We do. We have it. So we've been doing really good. Everybody's been enjoying our actual bodybuilding topics that we've been doing. This week we had the 3 best rows to grow your back. So all the different rows that are out there, and really it's kind of like a personal thing, right? Like what do you guys like? What are your 3? Should we do 3 all together, or do we all combine to put together 3 rows? I
think we each pick 3. It's going to be pretty easy if we just do one each. It'll take 2 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're going to need to each. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Well, so I'm going to start because I was already thinking of this.
Shoot.
So I think one of them has to be a bent over, unsupported. You have to have a bent over unsupported row in there. Yeah. You know what I mean? A real meat and potatoes, something that's really, really taxing, almost as hard as squatting. You need a movement in there that's like that. For me, I was a barbell rower. I did well with barbell rows. I felt them in my back. My back would get super pumped. I played with it a lot with the angles, trying to find my best angle. And I found when I bent over a fair amount and went, mid shin with the bar at the bottom, I found that was kind of my best positioning. I know Dorian stood up a little more. I did that for years and didn't get as much out of it. But I really thought barbell rows were a really efficient sort of sledgehammer exercise.
Agreed.
So I would put them in there. And then I would put, I think you can do a shit ton with a good seated cable row.
Oh,
you can change the handle out. You could do all sorts of different things with the handle, your grip. You can mess with it a lot. And I was just think of It works everything. It's technically an unsupported row, so you get a lot of erector engagement in there too. So there's just a lot going on with a seated cable row. You can put your elbows in different positions. So like that's a great exercise. And then I would say my favorite plate loaded row is the hammer DY row. I love it. The last couple of years, I think we've used it every single back workout almost. And I never had access to it when I was younger. Obviously, it was kind of, I remember when I was actually bodybuilding, the DY was like a little rarer. Like I'd be like, oh, this gym has a DY row. Like, like I'd be on the road and I'd run into one. Like they weren't everywhere. You see them more now. Obviously, there's a lot, every gym has hammer equipment now. But the hammer DY, the plate loaded DY, I just love that. Doing it single arm is my favorite. But I would say those three for me, that's a great triplet of rows. So
I agree. If I'm not being boring, which I prefer to be boring, if I was going like my most basic, I would literally do a barbell row, a Cybex Smith row, and I would do a T-bar row. You know the one in the corner that everyone says is useless and doesn't do anything?
The landmine row?
Yeah, that one. That would be the one. But if I was replacing one of the variations of the barbell row, I really love the Nautilus Explode line, their row, doing it single arm at a time. That thing is fantastic because you can really tuck that elbow in tight and like isolate that low lat and do so with, it's weird. You can do it very heavy and make it still feel very isolated, where when I'm doing a barbell row, I'm trying to work the part of my back that starts like the back of my head and goes down
below the neck, above the waist.
To your waist.
Yeah. Like, I love when people say, what part of the back does that hit? I'm like, all of it. So that would be my one alteration. But I am a real firm believer in what you said, Ron, which is I do not think you can top just holding weight and pulling. When I think about it, because when I'm like lazy or my body hurts or my legs are hurting, then I'm like, oh, well, I'll just do a weak back workout and I'll do a bunch of machines. And it's not the same. Like I went on a little run there because I was enjoying all the equipment and doing a bunch of chest supported and different machines. And then one day I was like, I should just do some barbell and some T-bar. And I was annihilated. And I'm like, yeah. I don't get that using machines. So for me personally, stick to the boring stuff. You can do it all in your garage gym. You're good to go.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, you really can.
Save yourself $50,000. You're good.
So are people against the T-bar row now? Because I remember a couple years ago, I did a T-bar row and I shot it on video, not knowing that I'm not supposed to do that anymore. And I posted it right on Instagram, and everybody was like, "Oh man, such and such is gonna have a field day with you." And oh my god, that's
the
not
handle
doing.
You were using?
I don't know.
Fun of the handle?
I don't know. I was just doing the traditional T-bar row.
V-bar.
With the V-bar, lighting my
hate
back
that
up
one.
like I always had. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's his name that hates those now? Paul Carter. Paul is very into it's right or wrong.
Yes. Well, you know what though? I'm going to tell you what. That will get you a lot of controversy. If you're like, this never works, and then you're going to have a bunch of people who are like, wait a minute, I grew my back for 20 years doing that, and then they'll start keyboard warrioring you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
And then you've got the newer people who are like, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. He's a lot bigger than me. Then I'm going to tell everybody else this doesn't work. That kind of thing.
Right.
So I get it. I'll go with, I guess, dumbbell row. That was always my favorite. I'd even go as far as to say that I have a rack up to, dumbbells up to 150 in the home gym. I'm not as strong as Dusty, all right? But I do love myself a dumbbell row. I'll put that one in there. And, man, you really threw me for a loop, Ron, with that seated cable. I never would have thought of somebody adding that one in. I'm going to go with, what Hammer Strength makes, and we've talked about it before. They have that high row machine, and there's two of them. There's one of them where the handles are close together. And
the reverse grip.
That's more of a pull down. Yeah.
I like the one that they're a little bit further apart, I can't quite explain it. I have to get the
No, it's
picture.
a high row. That one's the high row.
Okay,
That
I
one's
like
called
that
the
one.
high row.
I like that one. I like that one.
Right. Yeah.
That's
that's
a
the
good
one that the tall guys like me, because it kind of sets down on us. You see, especially Charles Glassy, these guys hold onto the frame.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're doing that. Yeah. Okay.
And, just to be different, I'll throw in a Meadows row. I like the Meadows row.
I love those too.
I mean, it's kind of redundant if you're doing a dumbbell row, but it's okay. It's my picks.
I'd say my honorable mention is a chest supported T-bar, because
that's good.
With the elbows out, kind of the high, like upper back chest supported T-bar, and you can really let the reach for the floor and kind of reach over the pad and get that killer stretch. That's a great exercise.
I'm changing my third to that.
Changing my third. And if you have a home gym, and you're tight for space and you don't have room for hammer machines and all that stuff, I tell guys, get a chest supported T-bar. It'll solve all your problems as far as plate loaded rows go and variety and all that, because they don't cost much at all. They're easy to find on Marketplace, and you can even just make one. There's a bunch of one-off made ones just out there for sale. They're not even any brand. They're not hard to make, so guys weld their own sometimes, but you get a good chest supported T-bar row and you can do a bunch with different grips.
Chest supported T-bar row solves all your problems, life, relationships, and beyond.
Yeah. Wife be mean to you, buy yourself a chest supported T-bar row.
Wife left you, buy yourself too.
And make sure you buy one of these T-shirts. You can go get it. It's just bodybuilding T-shirt. Follow the link.
Look at that transition. It was flawless.
We don't pump the shirts enough. I decided to wear the shirt. I never wear this in public because I'm on it. That's weird.
Hey, is that you?
Hi.
Is that you on your own shirt?
Is that you? Yeah, I'm on my shirt.
I made new shirts, by the way. I have, and it's just bodybuilding, just the words, just the logo.
So this logo, you can
and I found it in a 3X, Dusty. So I think I can.
Nice.
I'm gonna have to ask you for your dress for the third time now, because I asked you twice already, and then we'll see if we can squeeze you into one, because I know you need a 4.
I like this. Well, I like to wear a medium anyways. That makes me feel like I'm bigger.
You got your new hats, right, Dusty?
Sure did. I got 4 new hats, thanks to Ron sending them with Luke on a great trip this weekend. There was a lot to talk about on that trip.
Okay, well, first tell me about the hats.
Of greatness.
You wanted a blue one, and you wanted 2 black ones. Is that because you want to train in one, and then you want one to stay clean?
Yes.
Okay.
See,
okay.
I know
you can't, because I like to, and you know this. So for me, those hats. And this is for all hats. It's not a shot at West Coast Iron. Those hats are great once they've smelled and been washed. And the 6-month mark is when a hat becomes my my guy. Right. In the beginning, you guys are getting to know each other. It's not quite staying with the bend of my fat head. But Ron's hats, for anybody who is around there, they're great for people with bigger heads because they don't squeeze and give me a headache at the gym. You ever buy some flex fits that squeeze
a bit of a bigger flex fit?
Oh yeah, it's game changing. And I prefer flex fits. I have a few of the snapbacks, which I got one this time, but it's they're the best to train. And plus, his has the breathing. It breathes a little more of that material in the back. I actually have one of the black ones already, but I've annihilated it.
Yeah, I know.
It's literally fringed here.
Yeah,
it looks like I bought a retro hat, and I'm like, no, I just wear it that much. Yeah,
you put it in a stone wash to wear it out. Yeah,
right.
Man,
yeah.
He had one that I had for so long, and I actually floated the river here and lost it, and it was ruined my day when I lost this hat. I would have rather drowned than lost that hat. I was really?
Now you have 4 new hats.
Exactly. So
Okay.
we're good.
Okay.
Sorry, I derailed. I get
that.
excited about the hats. Yes.
Okay. What else do we have? We were laughing about that meme. Do you want to pull that meme up?
Oh yeah, pull the meme I sent you. It's on your text.
Oh, it's on text?
Everyone laughing. We got to touch on the Olympics, a little Olympic fun.
Yes. And then I got to talk to Scott about this guy anyways. But this meme is phenomenal. Hermosi put this up.
Yeah. This guy, single lat pull downs, reverse bands, micronutrients, cold plunge, red light therapy, reps and reserve equation, strength curves, trains hard. And then what was the story behind that dude? He just got called up. Hey, you're going to the Olympics. And he's like, okay. He just like shows up with his gun.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, I'm good at shooting. None of the stuff.
I love that he's wearing like a t-shirt. Like, it's so good. He just walks out there in t-shirt and glasses and takes silver.
Took silver, didn't he?
In the Olympics against everyone else looking like this guy. Scott, please
explain. He's got one hand in his pocket. Look, he's got one hand in his pocket.
Tell me that guy has not used a weapon for things that we're never going to know about.
Oh no, he totally. You can tell. Look at his face. This is nothing.
He's probably former special services or something, isn't he?
He's like, shoot at a piece of paper, no problem. That's easy. Yeah. I've shot it a lot more than that.
Yeah. Can I pretend it's got someone on the other side of it? Perfect. It's a little more his style. Yeah. So Scott, explain though quickly. How? Like, how is he that good? These guys, I mean, I read through the list.
How much of an advantage is all that stuff?
Oh, man. You're asking the wrong guy. Because it's interesting. It's kind of like...
You're the highest guy I know in this.
But I'm not in this. This is kind of like, Ron, there's a lot of different types of freestyle bike riding, right? And you're into doing flat landing, and it's kind of like watching a BMXer, like a somebody who's doing like dirt racing and stuff like that. It's like it's
Crew
completely.
Jones.
It's there. He's also on a bike,
but
but it's like something completely different. I don't know anything about this stuff, but I can tell you this: it takes being able to like really keep your like adrenaline under control. You got to be like super chill and relaxed. Much like I would bet it's a lot like golf, And then I mean, and just the level of practice, I can't even fathom it. Okay, one of our listeners, this guy, he reached out to me and he was like, "Hey, I'd like to work with you." Now this isn't firearms. This guy, he says, "I shoot in competitive archery," and he was like, I like working out. I want to get into better shape. He says, I don't want to take it to the level you guys have, but I can really relate to what you guys have done and how passionate you are about bodybuilding and about fitness. He was like, because that's the way I feel about archery. So one day I asked him, I was like, hey, tell me, like, what do you have to do? And like, what are you shooting at? What are the size of your targets? And he says, well, when I get real good, he says, our target is about the size of a penny. And I think he said it's 20 yards away. And he said, I can hit that penny 7 out of 8 times when I'm in a good groove, when I've been practicing regularly. Could you imagine basically hitting a penny with an arrow from 20 yards 7 out of 8 times? Like, the amount
hit the side of a building from that far.
Right. It's crazy. So to think, I mean, there are people that are just naturals at this stuff too. Things like hand-eye coordination. In fact, a friend of mine, Peter, had told me that he said females tend to be really good at shooting compared to males. So I don't know. I don't know if it has to do something with, a lot of it is you're using dexterity, like real fine motor skills while under pressure. You know what I mean? That's difficult to do. Like, because you're not just pulling a trigger, you're trying to evenly press it back, straight back. Because if you were to like yank it in either direction, you're going to be off by feet or by yards. So to think that in order to get that target, and you don't even have a support hand in what he's doing. He's just holding one arm, just floating out there on space. No other points of contact other than that hand. Finger on the trigger, pulling that trigger straight back as best he can, repeatedly with hundreds of thousands of people watching you,
I remember, I can't remember. I knew some guys that were snipers back when I lived in Edmonton because there was like a real famous Canadian sniper unit that was based out of Edmonton.
Okay.
So there were a lot of guys that I knew that were snipers and they had, seen action and stuff. And so I'm not sure if they were explaining it to me or if I just learned from watching movies and stuff. But I remember when I learned that snipers wait for their heart to beat.
Huh.
Like they time between heartbeats and you exhale, like they let their breath come out
and then you stop
and then they wait for their heart to beat, thump, and then they pull the trigger between heartbeats just so there's nothing going on at all. It's like completely stillness, And so I'm assuming these guys are doing the same thing. They're paying attention to their paying attention to every little thing like that. It's this instinct of when to squeeze that trigger.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's fascinating. It's cool to see, and I'm going to tell you what. It's strange to see. I just got back from getting my hair cut right before the show, and they've got Olympics playing. Great. Thank you, sir. They have Olympics playing, and they're doing like rock climbing. And Layla, the girl who cuts my hair, she's like, yeah, every day they have something new on here. They were doing kayaking earlier, and they've got all sorts of different sports that I had no idea were in the Olympics. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, there's a lot of random stuff, but the fact there's that many people really good at random stuff, is just bonkers to me. Yeah, nuts.
Do they have BMX riding in there in any way, Ron? They should.
Yeah, the street course, like the park course.
They do have that.
Yeah, the park course is in the Olympics. Yeah, so the guys that have like there's the ramps all over the place, and they have the crazy. They're zooming all over and flipping and stuff. So the BMX park is in there, and they had a bunch of really really good like top level world champion flatlanders taking part in the opening ceremonies.
Really?
So there was like this one part where there was all these people doing crazy stuff, and the boats are going by and it's opening ceremonies, and there's a couple of guys from France that are like legends, and they had both of them were in there spinning and zooming around and stuff, and they've got a bunch of guys riding Flatland at the Olympics as like a demonstration event, but it's not like a medal event. It does qualify. Like there's all these rules, like for something to become a medal event, it has to like be practiced in a certain number of countries. It has to be like, there's all these rules, right? So that's why some things that aren't necessarily big sports are in the Olympics,
Right.
Like to us, we're like, this is in the Olympics, but then you're like, oh, well, it's practiced in like 85 countries or whatever. And you're like, oh, so some people are trying to get it in, but other people are like, Flatland will never be. It's like, but breakdancing is in. Did you see that?
If breakdancing is in, then flatlanding should be in.
Breakdancing is in. Here's the meme that Dusty showed us that cracked me up.
All right.
Was this one here. The Pulp Fiction.
Yes. Yeah, that is amazing.
Just added him.
And then it goes with my coffee cup. I had to show my coffee cup again. Some serious gourmet shit. I had to. I was just
tied it all together.
Tied it all together.
I
Makes
love
me
it.
happy.
I think we were asked too about will bodybuilding ever be in the Olympics? I know that was Joe Weider's big thing. He really wanted bodybuilding to be. Oh yeah,
I remember
it was Ben that wanted it in. Dusty.
Yeah, he was obsessed.
Yeah, Ben. I remember always thinking that was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like always. I was like, this is just so dumb. Please don't bother. This is just so stupid. I just thought it was just a waste of everyone's time. So, yeah.
I just, what's weird though is when I watch Olympic sports that I don't know, I still enjoy them. Like you'll be watching something, you're like, wow, this is actually awesome. I don't think, aside from pure freak factor, assuming they're all gassed out of their minds, that bodybuilding is exciting. I mean, no, I just don't. I don't find it exciting, and I'm in it. Like you go to a show, and be honest, like it's a painfully long night until you get to the one or two people that like put on a good show. So I don't see it happening ever. But for that reason alone, I hope not. Because, like I was at the show this weekend. It was funny. I got some great stories, by the way, out of, I just lost his name. Who puts on the shows? Ed Pariso.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He gave me some of the greatest stories backstage before the trophy presentation.
Oh, you're kidding.
He said, you know who he said is the greatest guest poser he ever had? And he had him back 7 times.
Who's that?
Matarazzo.
Oh, yeah.
He said Mike Matarazzo was unbelievable. He's like, here's a guy who could like never be, he wasn't going to ever be a top guy. He's like they begged for him to come back. He'd be in the crowd for 15 minutes, he said.
Yeah.
He's like, he would just put on a show that was phenomenal. And then he said another one that was really cool, which I thought this was great after our episode the other day. So Nasser, he had Nasser out the very first time. And Nasser said, hey, do you give away like plaques or what do you give away for the winners? And he goes, yeah, we do plaques. And Nasser's like, is there any way you could make an additional one for me that says I'm the guest poser? I'll pay for it, but I want to have one from every event I do. And he was like, well, I'll just make you one. But he said then after the guest posing, Nasser's like backstage, like, do you need help with anything? Do you want me to move anything?
You're
like,
kidding me.
Load the trucks up. He said he was the nicest guy. All about the fans, wanted to help do a bunch of stuff. He literally was looking at Ed, was looking at him like, you want to help us move boxes to the trucks? Like, sure, I'm here. Yeah, he said it was bananas.
That surprises me because I feel like Nasser would be the biggest headache, would have been my guess.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
Like, I need.
I am tired.
Yeah.
I have fulfilled my obligations.
Do you have good diet?
Exactly. I need bananas in my room immediately.
Yes.
He gave me some gems, man. They were great.
Yeah.
I was blown away. He also said that he got Kevin 1 week after the Olympia one year. And he said, so you've got that like sliced plus blown out full.
Yeah, yeah.
And he said it like, even him, as seeing him on stage a week before, he was like, he came out and I didn't even know what I was looking at.
That'd be crazy.
He's like the crowd lost their minds the entire time.
Yeah.
You know, so it was definitely good to have like some stories of back in the day and just hearing like the old school. He told me about the first time he saw Ronnie because Brian Dobson like drug him back at a show. He's like, you got to see this guy. I finally got him to compete. And then he looks at him, and Brian's like, he's never taken anything, and he has no idea what he's doing.
Yeah.
And he said, he's like, I immediately knew that he was gonna be nuts.
Yeah.
You know. So he was super cool. It was fun to be there and, you know, do the little. I didn't really care about handing out the trophy. It was just exciting to get the stories backstage.
So you were there. What were you? Is that what you were there for? You went to a show?
I went for the expo because there was a show. So Mutant had they just always do it's a 1-day show there, and then they just had me give away
right?
Yeah. They had me give away the pro win for the men's physique.
Okay, yeah.
So waited out, did that, and then that got me it's always a great reason for me to go home for like 5 days.
Yeah.
Do a 1-day event, hang out there for 5 days, you know. Perfect. I get my racing practice in. I've been explaining to Nikki for like 3 years that people there ignore the speed limit. You just go fast. And she thought I was exaggerating. And we're driving down the 101 going 80 miles an hour. It's a 65 and I'm getting passed. And she's looking at me. She's like, it's always like this? I'm like, absolutely. If you're not going at least 10 over, you're in the way. Like, right. It was so happy to be back to that, you know. Everyone
the Phoenix rat race.
Yeah, here people are like 61 in a 65. You're like,
yeah.
What are we doing?
Right.
But no. Yes, the slow small town that part doesn't work for me, Ron. It doesn't work. So
you're a fast man living in a slow town.
Exactly. I have nowhere to be, but I want to get there quickly.
You know, I started watching. We started watching Reacher.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The Amazon show Reacher.
Okay.
Yeah. We started watching it. It's very good. We're only a couple episodes in. Huh. And I'm just thinking the whole time, I'm like, this is Dusty. Complicated man, small town. Yeah.
That's locked in your mind. You're like, this is no good.
Yeah.
Just wait till you're here. It'll make a lot more sense.
Yeah. So it looks like I might be coming to visit you guys. I got to lock these trips down like today or tomorrow. I got to lock all this down. So I got to talk to these guys at these gyms and make sure they're good with this. And we'll make this.
AJ's good. I already texted him.
Tino's good too. Tino's in for this.
He's like done. So he was stoked. Immediately excited. Yeah, we made Ron wait about 21 seconds from when he asked if the dates would work.
Yeah.
I answered, and then like I heard mine go through, went whoop, and I heard ding, and that was Scott's answer. I'm like, we're good.
These gyms are ready. Done deal.
Everyone wants to be on Mutant on a Mission. Actually, they had it hanging in the everyday leg day. Was at Muscle Factory. Was the sign, the banner that you had after their trip. They had that on the wall right when you walk in.
Nice.
Which, by the way, I know you have 10,000 gyms to hit, but you should come back and do one just at Everyday Leg Day now. His gym is out of control.
I know he keeps making improvements and knocking out walls and taking over other units and stuff like that. It's a lot.
Well, then I'm a terrible friend to have because like I'll find a piece that I like and I just send it to him. I'm like, hey, this is the greatest kneeling leg curl I've ever used. And then like a few minutes later, he's like, this one? He's like, I think I found it. I'm like,
nice.
Attaboy.
Done.
Get it done. Yeah. He told me he has about 3/4 of another muscle factory in equipment in storage currently.
No kidding.
So he's like,
wow.
He's like, yeah, I could open another one. I would just need like, 20 more pieces and I'd be good to go. Because you can't, you know how it is. Like when you love to buy equipment, he's just, oh, good deal. Grab it.
Yeah.
Also helps when you live in a country that is pro-business.
True. It's a little bit different where you're at. You got to get involved in the American side of things every now and then when we're shipping things up to you.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, what else we got?
Okay. I got a good one. I want to do one that has nothing to do with bodybuilding. We've done too much bodybuilding already. This is a big one for you, Ron. 3 movies you think are overrated, but most people love.
Oh.
Yeah, this is a Nikki question, so...
Okay, I'll start with this one because it's fresh in my mind. I tried to watch it twice. I tried twice. And I didn't finish it either time. I got about 45 minutes in the first time, and I thought, okay, maybe I just need to be in a different mindset for this movie.
Right.
And then the second time, I got like quite a bit over an hour.
And you still couldn't do it.
And I just I probably only had 40 minutes left, and I just said to myself, I don't care. Like, I don't care what happens in this movie, and I turned it off again. And it won an Oscar for Best Movie. What is it? Was Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh, never even heard of it.
Oh, it was that huge sci-fi
Yeah, it doesn't
movie
mean a lot.
out.
It doesn't mean a lot that I hadn't heard of it, I guess.
Yeah, it was like big director, big stars, big everything, like big blockbuster movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once. People were telling me, oh man, you'll love it. It's all weird. And there's all these sort of time travel sort of things going on and different dimensions. And I just thought it was a complete mess. I just couldn't it was just, I couldn't make it. Tried twice. And I never try twice. And I never turn movies off. Like, I don't turn movies off. I sit through them. I'm like, oh, I committed to this. Let's see what this story turns out to be.
Yeah.
Ron, that is like, you're not allowed to do that anymore. That's like my rule in life. It's like when you take a bite of like a sandwich somewhere and it's garbage, don't take a second bite. Like life, there's too much life to live. If I'm 30 minutes into a movie and people are like, oh, it'll turn. I'm like, no. I've given this 30 minutes already.
Yeah.
If I give it another 30 and I'm wrong, now I'm just wasting my life. Like, no way.
Yeah.
Same thing with shows when somebody goes, just watch like 7 episodes. It'll get good. I'm like,
7.
Are you high? All right. So that's one. Scott, you got to throw one even though you're not like a huge movie person because.
All right. I've got one. And this is a recent watch. All right. And it's actually, I'm going back on what I said because initially back in the day, this was one of the best movies when I was a kid. I just feel like it didn't last with time. Like, I don't know if it's the way that storytelling is done now, if it's evolved so much. But I told Victoria, I was like, Victoria, you've never seen Goodfellas. You have to watch this movie. And we watched Goodfellas. And I'm going to tell you, like, if we're just sitting here talking about how great Goodfellas was, I'd be like, oh, that was like a classic gangster movie, one of the best movies of all time. But trying to go back and actually watch it, I'm sorry, it was rough. It was really rough. Sorry.
We just lost followers. I'm pretty sure that people just unsubscribe to the channel.
The storytelling was it was not like, I don't know if it's like that. I can't explain it. Just go back and watch it again. If you haven't seen it in 25 years, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about because it's just not nuanced the way storytelling has become today. It let me down. It let me down.
I like the way you said that though, like because the one that came to my mind immediately, we just watched. We decided we were going to watch some 80s movies.
Okay. Yeah.
Like some real throwbacks. So we watched Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and it slayed just like it did then.
Yes, we did that too. In the last couple of years, I saw it again. It was so good. That movie
is still phenomenal. So we decided to watch a movie at the cigar bar, and we as a group of us, we're like, all right, what's like a throwback? And we watched the Goonies, and I was like, how was this ever great? How?
Wow, that's of course going back.
Yeah. And then we all get done, and you know what happens? Everyone's like, just as good as I remember. And I'm like, what? No, that was awful. Like, absolutely terrible. So that one came to my mind as soon as you sent it, just because I was so annoyed by that. Because like we went down, got the whole thing at the bar. I wasted a good cigar watching it. It is no good.
Once again, unsubscribe below, guys.
Unring the bell.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes when you try to go back and watch a classic, and like a friend of mine just told me the other day that I guess it also matters if you've seen it before. Like he said he'd never seen Jaws.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
And he thought, you know what? It was like such a classic, legendary movie. It was so important. It was Spielberg. He's like, I'm going to sit down and watch Jaws. And he said the last half hour was actually pretty good. Like when they're on the boat and they're dealing with the shark, he's like, actually that was okay. But he's like, the whole first hour and a bit, it was just unwatchable, like bad cuts, like cuts of like people running, like the people at the beach, like just all the first kill is a woman swimming, and when the shark gets her, like she moves around like this in the water, like like it's just impossible to watch. He said it was terrible, and I was like, oh man, because he'd never seen it before, so there was no like, I guess historical love for it. He was like watching it new, and it was just, what the fuck, 1975. I mean, it's hard to keep up, right? So
we just watched a movie. It's not that old, but it's something I'd really been wanting to see, and I loved it. Victoria did not like it so much. Had you guys seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the Tarantino movie?
Oh, it's possibly his best movie.
Oh, I loved it. She didn't like it. She was like, and I think it's because she's Victoria's really smart. She wants to be able to kind of figure out what's going on. Like she couldn't figure out what was going on ahead of time. You know what I mean? It's the way that's storytelling.
That's why his movies are so great.
Oh yeah, the way that storytelling is done is just unlike anything else. I felt like I was just literally like time hopped back into Los Angeles, early 70s. It was like the feeling I had watching that movie of being there was so incredible. She wasn't as big of a fan, but she was like, I'm sitting through 3 hours of this because I love you. And it did all come together. Of course it did all come together.
I don't want to be able to call it. I feel like if I call it and then I'm right, I'm like, they didn't do a good enough job distracting me and fooling me.
Yeah.
Like
I intentionally don't want to know,
like that movie was great because, at the end, it's like such a slow burn. Yeah. It's like just a slow burn. And then the last 20 minutes of that movie are just like C4 going off in your ass, and
wow.
Yeah. And I'm willing to do that because I like the payoff, and then when it's over with and you reflect back on everything they showed you, you're like, oh, they were setting me up for all of this. Like they were showing me how tough that guy was. They were showing me how smart he was. They were showing me how, they were hinting at this. They were hinting at that. They were, the dog like is very obedient.
Yeah.
And waits for his meal and does whatever he says. And they lined everything up. And then it was just like the pool shark baiting you, and then he just clears the table, tap, 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 and everything goes right in the pockets. And you're like, oh, I didn't even see that coming.
And those are the best movies that way, though, right? I mean, like,
it was great.
The Sixth Sense, Fight Club, where it's good the whole time, But then when you find out and your brain starts spinning and you're trying to still focus on what's happening currently, and the whole time you're like, wait.
Yeah.
That line where he says, I know you. What was your name? And he's like, I am the devil or something like that. And he was like, no, it was something a lot stupider than that. Like Rex.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
It was good. It's so much Tarantino. You like, remember when he did Inglourious Bastards?
I never saw that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. That is
another one,
just an unbelievable movie. But
it's so good.
He does these history pieces,
but
he decides, I'm going to change history. Right? Like, it's not going to end.
Already been changed, but
I'm not going to stick to how history actually unfolds. Like, my version is an alternate outcome because my characters interfere. Right? So like that movie, like they went to the wrong house.
Yeah.
And they didn't get Cheryl Tate. And it didn't turn out to be the Tate murders. Right. It was like, so history was altered. It's not what actually turned out to be, what happened. So, so like that, and in Inglourious Bastards, he does the same sort of thing with like, the whole World War II Nazi thing. It's like the outcome is different. And it's,
I'll have to watch that.
It's great. So good. Some of Brad Pitt's best lines. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
Killing Nazis. Yeah, you're such a great character. But I like how he is willing to set up his characters real slow and show you things about them that you don't realize are important.
Yeah.
And then later on in the movie, you're like, oh, fuck.
And I don't know if it's through story. So Tarantino's been changing the way I see movies since Pulp Fiction, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's that my palette has become more complex or what, but going back to Goodfellas, I really had just a hard time with that level of storytelling. And I think it might be like the complexity of where they've taken us since then, maybe.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. Sense. But, you got to look at those movies. Without those movies, without Goodfellas, we wouldn't have had Casino.
Oh, yeah.
And without Casino,
Nicky.
We wouldn't have had, The Departed or whatever. Like, those gangster movies all like it's the fans of that movie that, cause that director or writer to write this movie, and then it's that movie that causes this writer to write that movie, and they all just it's that's a cool genre.
I'm glad you're dragging glad you're dragging Victoria down this road. We've done the same. There's movies going on in this house just to like, I'm like, listen, you're college educated, but that's a waste of time. Let's talk about movies.
She watched all 4 John Wick movies with me now. I hadn't seen them. So she was like, we'll sit through them for you, basically.
They got progressively worse.
Oh, yeah.
One Tarantino movie, I've seen all of his movies multiple times, but there's only one that I've only seen once. And I have to watch it again because I saw it once and I was like, oh my God, I have to watch that again and see how obvious I missed. Like, because, on the second watch is when you're like, oh, I missed that and I missed that and I missed that. You realize you were set up 100 times. But The Hateful Eight, that's another movie that was a big, slow burn with a crazy cast and all those people with all that dialogue. And then again, the last 20 minutes just goes off. And you're like, oh my God, I didn't realize what was going on. And it was a hell of a movie, but I got to watch that a second time. So
I'll have to check that out. I went through a big phase of all the Kubrick movies. I don't know if you guys had ever gotten into him. I know that in The Shining, I can't remember the lead woman's name, but
Shelley Duvall.
Thank you. Yeah. And he terrorized her basically through that film.
He wanted her to be very anxious and stressed out.
Yeah, which is incredibly odd. I don't know if you could do that today, but you know what I mean? Like
everyone already is today.
Yeah.
Just be on your phone a lot.
Yeah. But his movies are something else. He was another one that I really appreciated his style.
Yeah. I watched what's the Tom Cruise Nicole Kidman one?
Eyes Wide Shut. Incredible.
Eyes Wide Shut. We watched Eyes Wide Shut like a couple of years ago, and I hadn't seen it for a long time. And I thought, man, what a fucking weird movie that was.
Oh, yeah.
So many, like, what a weird movie that was. And then you also, like, I remembered as it was happening, I'm like, oh, this is the movie that Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman met doing.
Yeah.
So that was like even more of like the chemistry was like, whatever was going on there on set. It was really a weird movie, but yeah. And then 2001: A Space Odyssey. I remember seeing it when I was a kid and being too young to absorb it.
Yeah.
And then seeing it later and being like, oh, this is a completely different movie than what I thought it was as a kid. And really one of the original stories of the horrors of AI.
Yeah, it really is.
That was the original, like, AI is making decisions that are best for you and you don't have a say. And when you the terror that, I mean, what a 1969 that movie was. And he was able to instill that simple level of terror with just, a computer voice. Like, there's hardly any actors in it, right?
Yeah.
And, what a great movie. So, okay.
Gem. You got another one, Scott, or you want me to roll? I got a few here. So
we have like a bunch of we have some bodybuilding stuff.
Let's do some of those, and I'll bring us back to the dark side in a minute.
Okay. Let me see what we have here. I was completely not paying attention to what I had.
Boy.
So it's going to take me just
Welcome
a minute.
To our world. Do like Ron and I wing it.
How about this one? This is completely kind of not in our wheelhouse, but I thought we might have something for him. Do you guys have any tips for training on explosiveness for fighting? I'm trying to transition away from bodybuilding now that my body is not built, I guess. That's the way you worded it.
That's fantastic. Well, I mean, it depends on. I hate when like explosiveness to me is much like inflammation, meaning like I need more data for what you're doing. Like, because if you're saying like explosiveness for like fighting, or you know what I mean, where you're going to be moving, side to side body. Like, I think a lot of things are body weight, kettlebell, twisting, moving the body, the whole body. Throughout the full range of motion. You know what I'm saying?
Through space, moving your body through space, Dusty.
I'm starting to sound a very similar to Kamala over here.
What can be undone by what we are unburdened of.
It sounds really deep if you're an idiot. But no, I don't have a ton of experience with it. But the reason I bring up the opposite is because I talked to Josh, I don't want to say quite a bit, but, I ask him a lot of questions about training for football and things like that.
Yes.
And I find out that it's a lot of what we do. Like, and it shocked me a little bit because I was like, well, there's not a lot of need for this. And he's like, yes, there is. Or things that are really popular that I had heard were phenomenal. Like when growing up, you'd see a lot of people do like ladder drills. And like that's for speed. And then I worked with a bunch of NFL guys and they laugh when they would see it because they'd see it in the gym when I'm training them. They're like, that's such a waste of time. When do you look at your feet when you're playing football? Never.
Right.
And then I started realizing like, oh man, a lot of what I thought to be good information was garbage once you get to the next level. So I'm going to refrain from answering and being terribly wrong.
Right.
On this.
I'm going to almost be as smart as Dusty, and I'm going to be dumb enough to give one piece of advice that was given to me. I asked a friend a while ago when I got into the bike thing. I said, what can I do? What's the simplest thing I can do to become more athletic? Like my mind was like too overloaded with stuff you see on Instagram. You're like, imagine coming from someone who's never weight trained and then looking at a page where they're banding everything.
Right.
You'd be like, oh, like that's how I felt looking at athletic pages, watching guys train for athletics. I was like, what's important? Like, should I do this? Should I do that? So what are these? And my buddy said, run stairs. He said, running stairs is the best base level. That's like bench, squat, deadlift.
Right.
Because you have to be explosive, right? It's footwork, it's timing, it's athleticism, it's sprint level cardio, it's endurance in your leg muscles. He goes, and especially the footwork thing too. You know, running stairs is precise. You miss a stair, you smash your shin. Like you learn pretty quick. And so he said, just if you can only do one thing, like a busy guy who's got a lot going on, but you want to be a little more athletic, run some stairs. And I was like, oh, okay. That's like one piece
What did
of
you
advice.
do? What did you do to help with your ability to twist? Because like everything we do is square, right? And that's something that it really throws when I see like a basic movement, I'm like, oh, my body doesn't turn very far at all.
So I do some stuff with a low pulley and a high pulley. I do it on I have like I don't ever talk about this, but I have like a Saturday workout now where I don't really do bodybuilding. And I do like some cardio because I've been rehabbing my hip too. So I do like hip rehab, band stuff, abs, cardio. And then I do where I have a rope on a low pulley or a high pulley, and I do some twists and like pushes. So like I'll pull from low and I'll push up high, or I'll pull from high and I'll drive down low to my knee. Right. And I don't know, would you call them like wood choppers, I guess, but they're done with like a cable. Right. And I'll do some of that stuff. And like my ab wall from under my armpits all the way down was like sore for the first like few times I did it. And now I do it for like motion. And I found my range of motion has gotten better. Right. And then also too, that was part of my hip rehab because I was watching this guy on Instagram who talks about how like your hip is it's locked to your core. It goes down to your knee. It's like, you have to train the whole, like you have to move everything for your hip to really actually get back to health. Right. So that's why I started doing them, and I like them. I think they've helped.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's my retirement plan. Actually, I have 2 years, but it's like the only way I can get away from bodybuilding is to get away from bodybuilding. Right. I have to do other things because I will never be satisfied to go in the room and like bent row 225. That's not happening. I'll lose.
Right. Yeah, I couldn't picture that.
Right. So I'm like, all right, I got to do something completely different. So I've actually got a ton of interest in that stuff just because it's like, it would be mind-bogglingly hard and I would be absolutely terrible because of what I am now, you know?
I'm trying to do a bit more jumping. My hip hasn't been, obviously suitable for it, but I'm starting to think that I'm almost ready to do a little bit more like just start with the low box, like just the 8-inch box, and just do some little just jump, and just get jumping. Cause I think that's the next level for what I want to do is be able to jump more precisely, landing exactly where I want to land and that sort of thing. I want to jump more.
Hey, guess what, guys? I got a special guest for us.
Wait, what? Who it is?
I got a special guest right here. Hey, we got Jordan Janowitz.
Oh,
what up,
Jordan? Welcome to It's Just Bodybuilding. What's going on, buddy?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Awesome. Yeah. Man, this is an honor. Dusty, Ron, how's it going?
Fantastic.
Really good, man. Are you outside Metroflex right now?
Yeah. I'm outside Metroflex.
Holy crap! I just got a message.
Building.
I got a message from him. He was like, "Yeah, I could jump on." He was like, "I literally just finished legs right now."
No, not legs.
Oh, not legs.
Legs was Saturday, 6 days out.
Oh,
okay.
Hey, congratulations. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. It doesn't even seem real. So
That's
I'm
awesome.
just riding this wave to the Texas Pro.
Hell yeah.
Well, we're watching your pictures, and I mean, like, you were looking so crazy hard, like your back double bicep and your glutes were just shredded out and everything like that. But those 212 shows are so crazy and stacked. You never know, like, what's going to happen. I'm like, oh, he looks nuts, but like the 212 guys are nuts. And then I open my Instagram, and you're the champ.
And as cool as it was, I mean, winning, it was almost as cool as just being able to compete and stand next to David Henry. Like, wow.
Right.
Yeah. He's the
he was number
original
91
202
and I was
champ, right?
92, so we were standing by each other the entire time.
Yeah, and he's the original 202 Olympia, right? He won the first one.
Yeah, well, he competed before they had 202.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he won 202 once or twice in like 08, 09. Him and Kevin English were going at it for a few years.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah, that's way back.
Yeah, man. Oh, go ahead, Scott.
I was telling Jordan the other day when I saw that he had won, I feel like, so I watched him, compete at the state level and then start to compete at the national level. And I saw him almost turn pro a number of times, like looking so good, and it just didn't happen. And I feel like, Jordan, once you've turned pro, you've had more success now, more quickly as a pro than you did as an amateur. Like, you look great as an amateur, but like you struggled to get the card. And then now that you're there, man, you're just like blowing up, dude. It's crazy.
Yeah, I guess as soon as I turned pro, I was ready to compete and be competitive as a pro.
Yeah.
My first national show was Junior Nationals 2013, but my first pro qualifier was the North Americans in 2014. That's where Dusty got his pro card.
Yep.
I didn't know what to expect at that show. I was like, if I could crack top 5, that would be incredible. And I took second. I lost to Tristan. So I was like, wow, maybe I can really do good at this bodybuilding thing.
It went okay for you.
It went okay.
Yeah.
It took 9 years to turn pro, but it took you 10 or 11 years to turn pro, Dusty? Around a decade.
I did. I just did all mine so quick. It was 4 years of the pro qualifiers from 10 to 14, but I did 2 a year except for one season. So it was 7 straight shows, and it's funny you brought that up because that's what we're pushing a ton on the show and with all these pro qualifiers. You see guys coming in very happy, and then they're just completely blown when they don't win. And I'm like, the reason that you are so good as a pro already is because you had a long, high-level amateur career, and you kept progressing. So, I mean, what would you say to some of these guys that really don't get that it was kind of a blessing for you? I mean, I watched you for years, when Jake came up and competed with you and stuff, and it's like you were always awesome. I mean, every pro qualifier you did, you were a possible winner.
Yeah, it definitely – had I gotten it in 2014, it wouldn't have meant so much to me as like I did get it in 2021. Like it was more meaningful because the long road and the journey it took to get there. Had I got it in 2014, it would have been like, oh, this is kind of easy.
Right. Well, I think too that you got the stance of, because it took a while, like you said, as soon as you were a pro, you were ready to be a pro. I think sometimes winning that pro card early is a curse. Because then you step in and you just get annihilated. And I mean, how many years are you going to do that
to handle it?
Yeah, you're not ready, So it was awesome to see, because when you were coming to the show, it was kind of funny. You put up your pictures, and I'm like, something's different. I mean, because you're always nasty looking, but it was.
Thank you.
I mean, it seemed like. I mean, was it a really smooth prep? I mean, your body just seemed to click.
It was really smooth. I'd say the toughest part was probably like that 7 to 5 weeks out. That's when the food kind of got low a little bit. My body fat, we had to bring the body fat down. And then once I was ready, like 4 weeks out, the food kind of went up. So I guess you could say it got a little bit easier. The cardio went down because we were ready early. It was a pretty smooth prep. And I'm going to be honest, man, training here at Metroflex, I think it's brought my training to a whole new level, man. Like, I'm pumped to work out all the time. Like, even when I'm tired, like I pull up, I get out and I'm ready to work out. I remember my gym back in Michigan. Sometimes I'd pull up in the parking lot and I'd be like, the atmosphere sucks here. I was like, I got to go in there. But, college kids with their cell phones, they're texting all the time. Like, that's not here at Metroflex, man. The atmosphere is unlike any other gym.
That's awesome. Funny. I was going to ask, that was my very next question for you was, you're training at like, probably the most legendary hardcore gym in the United States history.
Yeah.
And we, you know, I've been there. I went and trained there a couple
Mutant on the
times.
Mission. I watched that. Yeah.
Yeah, I threw up in the parking lot. The heat got me. That August heat got me, you know.
It's hot in this place.
And of course, we all watched Ronnie come up out of Metro and Branch. And
Yeah,
I remember asking Branch. I remember asking him. We were hanging out one time, and I said, like, you know, like the heat, you know, like what, like, you know, because I trained there in August, and it fucking crushed me, you know, the Canadian. I remember looking up at that thermometer on the wall, and it was 115, and I was like, oh
Sure.
my God,
Yeah.
like, and you know, that's not normal for us. And I was having a tough time. My face was cramping, you know, I had a cramp with my muscles and my face cramped, and my toes were curling in the cab on the way back to the hotel. I was drinking Gatorade. I was messed up. And Branch just like said, yeah, he loved it because he knows that like no one else is tough enough to do that on the regular, and it makes him so hard and calluses the mind and all this sort of stuff. And I just wonder what you have to say about that. I mean, here we are, it's August, and you're standing outside of Metroflex, and what is it today? Is it 100 degrees?
Yeah, it's spot on 100. It's usually August. It's usually like 105, 106. I just feel like it's like this is like the Rocky IV gym where Rocky didn't have much equipment to train with, and Ivan Drago had the fancy equipment. Those are all the other gyms.
Right.
Yeah.
I love it.
You work with what you got.
Yeah. Even if it's a bent bar.
Yep.
You guys have to understand too, like I watched Jordan training like Ronnie, training like Branch. In fact, like emulating Branch for years and years. And to see where he is today, like it is crazy to see you like so self-actualized. And actually, could you imagine that you would have been doing what you're doing, where you're doing it, at the level you're doing it back a decade ago or even further, man?
Absolutely not. Like I'm literally getting ready for the Olympia and training at Metroflex. Like, holy crap.
Right.
Insane. Like on cloud nine. I used to watch back in college after class. I'd go to the library and watch Ronnie and Branch videos before I go to the recreation center. And here I am doing what they did, you know, not at their level, but, you know, doing what they did.
Well, you're going to the Olympia now. I mean,
yeah.
I was going to say, that makes it pretty damn close to their level.
Yeah.
How does it feel for you
This might
looking
be
now?
the last year I do 212. We'll see.
Oh, yeah?
Right. Yeah.
I'd like to see what I look like. Oh, go ahead.
How do you feel knowing that like Branch was someone you looked up to and now is someone you know? Like,
Yeah,
what's that
it's
like?
Pretty cool, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Yeah, I seen him in the gym here a couple weeks ago, and he's like, "Yeah, I've been, I know about you. I've been, you know, kind of watching you a little bit." And like, that's awesome.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Do you feel like there was some, you know, how long have you been at Metroflex now? Like, when did you actually start training there?
I moved. It's been exactly a year. I moved here August 8th of last year.
So when you first got there and you thought of like the history of that gym and all the people that have come up, you know, to a new level and gone to the Olympia and stuff out of that gym, and you look back to that first month you joined, how does that make you feel to know that, you know, it all has come to fruition now and you're going to the Olympia and, you know, Metroflex is a part of that journey?
Yeah, it's an amazing experience. And Brian is just, he's been a blessing in my life, man.
How so?
Brian Dobson, the owner.
How so?
What's that?
How so?
Just the way he pushes me in the gym, a little extra when maybe I might stop before a set, and he'll say, "No, we're going to do a drop set." When I feel like I'm done, he's like, "No, we're going to keep going."
I love it.
Right.
Yeah.
He loves
on
it.
Leg day, like leg day's more. I feel like it's kind of like a higher volume day, while everything else I'm more of a Dorian Yates approach, like a one top set and you're done.
Yeah.
But leg day, I feel like it needs to be like a really high volume day.
Right. Do you feel like there's an expectation of you because you're at Metroflex?
No, I wouldn't say that. But I'd like to show like people in the world that like it can make a difference how you look on stage training here in the heat.
Right.
like conditioning, hard graininess, because Branch brought that, and Ronnie, his glutes were ridiculous at 290 pounds.
Yeah.
Right. So what's the plan now? Do you let your body weight come up a little bit? What do you do with this time between now and Vegas?
Well, I'm competing on Friday, Texas Pro.
Oh yeah,
yes,
you got
sir.
another show, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're gonna
it's
do
in
two.
my backyard.
You're gonna do
It's a half hour from my house.
yeah. So you're gonna do 2 back to back then.
Yeah. Yep. And then after that, we'll see what Andrew Vu's my coach. We'll see what he wants to do. We'll have 8 weeks till the Olympia.
But there's no more shows after that for you, is there? There's no more potential shows.
No, there's actually no more shows in the USA. I think there might be 1 or 2, like over in Spain or Italy, but there's no more in the USA. Texas Pro's last show.
Yeah. And what did you actually?
We were ready early, and we're like, let's do Tampa because there's nothing after Texas.
Right.
So Andrew's like, let's do Tampa because, like, what if I take second or third at Texas? Well, then I don't get to go to the Olympia. So
right.
Yeah.
He's like, now we'll have 2 chances to go, and I got it in Tampa.
How close are you to 212? Like what's the weight situation for weighing in and all that for you?
I didn't make weight the first time. I was 212.6.
Okay.
In Tampa. So he's the expediter. He's like, go to the bathroom, pee. I was like, I spit a little bit. I did some push-ups. I ran in place, and it came down a little bit.
We give you 30 minutes. What'd they give you?
I kind of fooled around for like 15 minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you weigh right now?
I was waking up at like 211. So Thursday, we probably want to wake up around 2:10 Thursday, just so we don't have to worry about like not eating all day, because the weigh-in is actually at 6.
Oh,
okay.
Crazy. Yeah. Like normally the weigh-in is around 2 or 3, but they're having it at 6 p.m. So I might have to starve all day.
Okay. Yeah.
Damn.
That's a brutal one.
And then out of curiosity, so that's Thursday you're weighing in. What do you figure? Are you guys stepping on the scale on Friday? Like, what do you figure you're stepping on stage at?
I mean, I was like 213.5 in Tampa, so.
Okay.
I mean.
So pretty close
still.
Like that. Pretty close still.
We want to be a little bit tighter. A little bit tighter, maybe. Tyler said I won on muscle size, hardness, and density.
Okay.
So bodybuilding.
Yeah.
So you're the best bodybuilder. Perfect.
He said, he's like, I've seen your conditioning a little bit better. So if you can come in a little bit more conditioning, which I thought I was pretty conditioned. Protan's going to be at Texas. LSR was at Tampa. I'm not a big fan of LSR. I feel like it's kind of a muddy look.
Yeah.
So, and Texas has a black background, so I think that kind of helps a little bit. Black background.
Oh, I agree.
Background. Yeah.
All the variables. You got everything covered.
Small
buddy.
Little things, stage lighting and that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, everyone looks great at Texas on that stage. I'm a big fan of that.
They do. They really do.
Yeah, and I was actually telling Scott, that's where I actually talked to you about coming on the show like 2 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
Well, I'm glad we finally made it happen, man. And what an amazing time too. Between 2 shows, having just gotten your Olympia qualification, and not too far out now from the Olympia, dude. I can't tell you just how proud of you I am as a friend and as a fan of you and a fan of the sport and a fan of Michigan bodybuilding, man. Like, even though you're not from Michigan anymore, you'll always be one of us. And it's been cool to see on social media, like, all the Michigan guys that have been just like, hell yeah, and so freaking pumped for you,
Original Westland powerhouse kid.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. Yeah, well, thanks for coming on, man. We really appreciate it. Straight from the parking lot of the most hardcore gym in the United States.
That's right.
Good luck this weekend coming up in your on your home turf. And I know there's a couple guys that have 1-2 shows. You know, there's a classic guy that won 2 shows back to back this year. And so I would love to see it happen. You know, you got to go in there just thinking you're in a Texas robbery, this qualification from somebody else.
Yeah, man. No stress at all. Yeah.
Yeah. No stress. No, man. Well, hey, man, you know, we're all cheering for you. You know, we love the hardcore training. We love the way you train and how you approach things. So, you know, I'm glad that you were able to come on and everyone hear what you had to say.
Yeah. Thank you. This was an honor, guys.
It's our pleasure, man.
Okay. Well, good luck this weekend. Good luck at the Olympia.
We'll see you there.
I appreciate it so much, guys.
Thanks brother.
Jordan.
Oh, that made my day getting to have him on.
Sweet.
That was great.
I'm telling you,
I'm glad you were able to drop on.
The first time I met him, he was working at a grocery store that I was delivering to. And we looked at each other. I kind of sized him up. You know, he looked at me. I looked at him. And I was like, hey, what's up? You lift, don't you? You know, we start talking bodybuilding right away. I remember that day I was covered in sweat, too. Like, he was like, so Powerhouse Westland was like 2 doors down in this strip mall. He was like, were you just at the gym? And I was like, no. I was just like moving around a lot and sweating. But he was natural then, too. He had just won the Michigan Natural. And, you know, who's to think that he would have had such an awesome career ahead of him and he's still rocking today, you know?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I'm glad he was able to make it on. We had to sit through that whole show not mentioning him because we weren't sure if we were going to get him on. So, you know, I didn't even say it in the intro because we thought, damn, he might not see this message in time or get the link or whatever. So I'm glad that panned out. Okay.
I'm glad that it panned out that he was in the parking lot of Metroflex.
Oh, that was even better, wasn't it?
No one else has ever. I mean, we couldn't get Brian in from Metroflex.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Yeah. Okay.
That was awesome.
Well, we're going to call that a show. That's plenty of show.
That was good.
Okay.
Solid.
Okay. Solid. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Remember, IamMutant.com. Go to IamMutant, get your ice surge, get your all in, and everyone should get on the gear. And, of course, you got to try the new Mindfuck. It is awesome. So get that. Use your code Dusty20, BigRon20. Remember the Think Big Patreon. Keep your producer homed. All the shows and all the hard work that Scott puts in. Like, share, subscribe, comment, and
ring the bell.
Yes. And remember, everybody, it's just bodybuilding.